Peace equals power plus love. This is Michael X with Xcavate. I am very pleased to present to you a very special episode of Xcavate. We here at the Xcavate Media Cooperative are working diligently to create a leading and most trustworthy African news source. And in order to do so, we certainly must cover stories beyond the shores of America. We make a very strong step in that direction with our following interview of Chairman Chernoh Bah. Brother Chernoh Bah is chairman of the African Socialist movement. He is also spokesperson of the National Democratic Alliance of Africa. We'll take a look at the political landscape in Sierra Leone, where Chernoh Bah is running for parliament this coming November. We are also extremely pleased to announce that this will be the first episode of a recurring monthly series from Sierra Leone. We'll Skype Chernoh Bah in on a monthly basis and take a continuing look into the struggle for African liberation in Sierra Leone as we struggle for African liberation both home and abroad. And so without much further ado, we'll jump into the interview, but first, let's take a look at a very dope video by Nate and our friends over at Global Faction. The video is called Africa. We'll see you after the break.
Gambia be, Dunia be, the whole world we stand in peace, and we go for peace, and then peace shall stand and peace shall last. Make it happen. We make it happen. We make it happen forever. We make it happen.
As I sit back and think of the people suffering overseas, it burns my eyes to see what people do for greed and how ignorant we actually are. If it doesn't affect us directly, then we don't give a fuck. So think about that, love. When you look upon your diamond rings, children in Africa are dying and some are losing limbs. I've heard people say diamonds are a girl's best friend, but Mother Africa says them bitches are just pretend. Indigenous tribes are being killed off in time, while this Western world is raping Africa blind. It's hard to find peace when you're raging inside, especially when you see your own people be brutalized. So take a look at the Egyptian statues. Why you think their noses are broke? Black people, that's you. Knowledge is power, and nothing on this earth is coincidental. But they don't ever want us realizing our potential. Yo, I'm for the freedom of my people. Africa, the motherland, deliver us from evil. No one came before you, that's why I adore you. Teach the kids about you, do anything for you. Garveyism, repatriate vision, Black Star, reparate, RBG coalition. Somalians fighting for survival on the shores, been labeled pirates by the underbeings laws. Selassie I fought with his back against the wall. Hotep, the father of medicine, the cure us all. You feed the whole planet, and they can't stand it. Physically, mentally, religiously, they attack it. The Congo is always under warfare for material gain. The pain we feel is unfair. Wipe your tears, it's time to use your brain and spares. No fair, no gain if the pain ain't there. They don't know Hotep, all they know is about how to load that tech. You diss Mother Africa, best protect that neck. That house nigga shit round here gets no respect. I don't rap for peas, I would've sold that from a long time. I rap for the streets, in war just like mine. Broke pocket, but you still floss, you love shine. Real wealth is land and material bloodline. Nowadays they don't care about our history, and before slavery is still a mystery. But if you dig for dirt, you're gonna find it. Run your fingers through the earth and pick up some diamonds. Families are dying while companies are buying diamonds. Oils, arms dealers are supplying. Both sides they are fighting. Little kids with AKs. It's not a hype thing, just open your eyes, kid.
Independent and big. The key is to maintain the independence of your initiative. I think it's very good.
Agree. Those are exactly our intentions. So that was Nate featuring Cyclonius and Jalix with Africa. A very dope video coming from the folks at Global Faction. Big up again to Global Faction. I am very pleased to have with me today Chernoh Bah. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your workings in Sierra Leone and the situation on the ground there.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is, like you said, Chernoh Bah. I am the founder and chairman of the African Socialist Movement, which is a revolutionary mass organization that we established 12 years ago. Throughout West Africa. We are based in Sierra Leone, and at the moment in Sierra Leone we are in a political coalition with the National Democratic Alliance, which is a political party that has also been existing since 1996. So that is basically what we do. Our key objective is to fight for the liberation and unification of Africa and African people worldwide, and to fight for the control of real power that will allow us to use the resources that we have to change the condition of existence of our people. On a personal level, I've been a journalist for a number of years, a community organizer, a writer, and I think that is it.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the African Socialist movement, the evolution of it, and also a little bit about the evolution of the Democratic Alliance, National Democratic Alliance.
Yes. The African Socialist movement is born out of a conviction that or a desire on the part of the young men and women in Sierra Leone and much of West Africa to provide an alternative leadership to the new colonial groups and parties that we have in that region. In Sierra Leone, we found out that the last 50 years of new colonial rule has resulted to increased misery, increased suffering, and also that the new colonialist political parties in power in that part of Africa have sold out the multinational, the resources to multinational corporations from Europe and North America. So we knew that in order for us to change the conditions that the people are living in, a situation where a vast majority of the population do not have access to healthcare, they lack access to quality education, access to the basic infrastructure that will allow them to live a decent life. We think that the only way we have to change that is by organizing ourselves into a movement that has as its objective or its aim to capture power and also put on the ground programs and initiatives that will help to solve these social and economic contradictions that have resulted from centuries of colonial slavery, imperialism, and also 50 years of new colonial rule. So that is basically what the African Socialist Movement is all about. Is we now count a membership that is spread across most parts of Sierra Leone to Liberia, to various parts of West Africa, including Cameroon. So as part of our strategy to win power in Sierra Leone, we entered into an alliance, a coalition with the National Democratic Alliance. It's a political party that was established in 1996 to also fight for national reconstruction and development. So we are working to establish an independent socialist party. But the neo-colonial middle-class politicians who are controlling power have made it difficult for independent organizations to emerge. So they have put in place institutions and laws that prevent independent organizing. So in effect, because of the difficulties, we had to develop a new strategy that allowed us to build a coalition with some of the progressive elements in the country. And in this case, the National Democratic Alliance appears to be the only independent political force outside of the neo-colonial parties that we could work with. So we entered into that relationship, and now we've moved forward. And in these elections, we are hoping to put forward at least 10 candidates from our movement who will be contesting for various elective offices from the councils to parliament as part of the process or the effort to win power from the new colonial parties in that area, in that region.
So yesterday we had to talk at Roosevelt University, which was a wonderful affair. And you had the opportunity there to define socialism, which in the Western world is a very, very dirty term. But I really appreciated your definition of socialism. Why don't you air that out for us?
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, we have discovered that over the last couple of years, the capitalist, imperialist nations of North America and Europe have stigmatized every independent effort from oppressed people to overturn the relationship that we have with capitalist nations, a relationship that is anchored on exploitation, extraction of wealth from resource-rich areas of the world, Africa, Latin America, and also Southeast Asia. So when we talk about socialism in the context of our struggle, we're talking about the struggle for popular democracy, because the neoliberal conceptualization of democracy is anchored on this whole idea of a government for the people, by the people, and of the people. But if you have a situation, for instance, in Sierra Leone, where only a handful of individuals who are in power, who constitute less than 1% of the population, are in charge of running the affairs of the state, and they live off the resources, while more than 95% of the population are living in abject poverty, they lack all the social services that are required for human existence, then that is not democracy. It is not democracy in the sense that if you call that a democracy, then it's a democracy of the few. It's a democracy of a rogue aristocracy, an oligarchy that has used state power to their own benefit and also for the services of the various imperialist nations and their multinational financial institutions, the IMF and World Bank. So what we are basically trying to say is that the resources, the diamond resources, the immense mineral, energy, and marine resources that we have in that part of the country should be used for the betterment of the conditions of the majority of the population, more than 90% of the population. So that struggle, we believe, is a struggle for socialism. It's a struggle that will allow the people to have access to healthcare, access to education, access to safe drinking water, access to good roads, and access to housing facilities. These, we believe, constitute the basic conditions of human existence. So basically, you cannot talk of democracy outside of that situation. So our struggle for socialism is a struggle for popular democracy. It's a struggle for real democracy, as opposed to a democracy where only less than 1% of the population that are in power as a consequence of a rigged election will pretend to be a democratic entity. So basically, when we talk about socialism in that context, we're talking about democracy. We know most people are afraid to pronounce the word socialism, but if they are afraid, we say that you have to understand there's a struggle for popular democracy, or real democracy as it is. A democracy that is anchored on the principle of a government that works for the people and not for those who are in power, but one that is at the service of the majority of the population, as opposed to the service of imperialist nations, the service of capitalist corporations, and their financial institutions.
Yeah. So obviously you've received a lot of resistance from the state apparatus over in Sierra Leone, neo-colonialists. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the tactics that have been used to stymie your efforts?
Well, like I said earlier, we had an intention when we were building this movement to build an independent socialist party. And what we encountered initially when we made the announcement was a statement from the Political Parties Registration Commission, which is an institution that's established by secondary legislation. The constitution of the country gave the citizens the so-called right to free association, right to free expression, and right to conscience. And then in 2002, the neo-colonial politicians through the parliament established what they refer to as the Political Parties Act of 2002, which placed limitations on the right to political association. It says, among other things, that you have to pay money to have a party registered, and also you have to have offices and other conditions which ordinary people could not meet because of the objective poverty, the conditions that they find themselves in. So we are confronted with that situation, which is why we are now constrained in terms of building an independent program of our own. We have to build alliance with some of the other progressive elements, and in order for us to move forward. That is one difficulty. Another difficulty is the fact that for the last, the monopoly of power by the existing middle-class parties themselves have ensured that the resources are concentrated in their own hands. So independent organizations like ours will find it difficult to contend with people who are fraudulently rich, who have used political power to enrich themselves and their families, and they've created institutions that ensure that only they and their families will be in control of the resources and in control of power. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, they have corrupted even some of the most progressive elements within our society so that they could be part of the status quo. Mm. So in effect, you have bribery of independent activists, you have corruption of the media, where the media is no longer independent because most of the journalists in the media are now bribed by the state, or they're given appointments as information officers in the various embassies. You also have a situation where the so-called pro-democracy movement itself is equally corrupted or co-opted. So you have, in the midst of this immense corruption, political corruption, and the contamination of the political landscape and the immense legislative restrictions, so you have a difficulty in maneuvering and moving. So these are the realities of the terrain in which we find ourselves, and how we're working constantly to overturn that. You can talk about a situation where the media is also corrupted by the state. There's the issue of slander, the issue of slanderous media, slanderous publications, and all kinds of things. So we are contending with all these kinds of situations, which is why we have also developed a strategy of reaching out to other communities of the world to inform them exactly the experiences of the situation, the realities, so that all of us could build a global effort in changing the conditions on the ground.
And that is what this tour is about that you're on. Tell us about the type of relationships that you hope to establish with progressive organizations in the diaspora.
Well, we have realized that the struggle in Sierra Leone...
All right, let's jump back into it. So the question was, what type of relationships are you looking to build with progressive organizations in the African diaspora?
Well, like I said, that we have understood, or we are of the opinion, that the struggle we are involved in Sierra Leone is part of the global effort for the liberation and unification of African people worldwide. And by extension also, it's part of the global effort to overturn capitalist dominance of the oppressed peoples of the world for the last 500 years. So we believe that struggle should not exist in isolation, that we have a responsibility to bring it to the attention of the oppressed people of the world, for them to know that this is happening, and for African people again to have a direct relationship with the conditions on the ground there and the struggle that's happening, and see how they could have a physical relationship with what is happening. We think that the control and domination of the instruments of mass communication is preventing people from having access to real information. So by coming out here, we hope to present to the world community the real stories of what's happening on the ground, and then at the same time win progressive organizations and individuals and institutions to a kind of relationship that will allow us to exchange ideas, exchange skills and resources that will allow us to also move forward in our struggle for the emancipation of our people. So that is what we hope to achieve, and so far we have received a tremendous response, a very exciting response, and the discussion has been very fruitful. We've been able to meet with grassroots movements, organizations who have expressed statements of solidarity, and they've also signed agreements of unity with us, and we hope that we can move this forward We want to build a program that will allow the exchange of forces from the various areas we are located. For instance, we would like to see people traveling back and forth to Sierra Leone to experience the situation on the ground, participate and offer their ideas and experiences regarding what's happening and how it could be moved forward. So this is basically, in brief, what we hope to achieve.
All right. And one last question. Tell us about the election process that you are currently engaged in Sierra Leone. What do you expect at the end of this cycle?
Well, already we have been able to build an elections program that we've been working with for the last 18 months. And so far, it has been very exciting. It has excited the imagination of ordinary masses in Sierra Leone. And we will proudly say that we have successfully won the debate on public policy, the debate on ideas against the neo-colonial forces who are on the ground. They have been difficult to contend with us. So we have ensured that public opinion is swayed in favor of a program for real change in the country, and a program that will ensure that the masses are in charge of their own affairs. So people are gradually coming to conclusions and terms with that reality. So this has been made possible through the alliance that those of us who are revolutionaries, who are socialists, have been able to build across sections of the progressive elements in the country, the pro-democratic forces who are independent. So as part of the effort to move that program forward, take it forward, we have decided to put out 10 candidates from our own movement that will be contesting as part of the National Democratic Alliance for the elections. Some of these candidates will be running for parliament, for the council, so that we'll be in a position to affect public policy, to make policy and change policy, and also see how we could experiment with the electoral process in our efforts to overturn the social system that's responsible for our own oppressive and conditions that we currently experience. For instance, I, as the chairman of the movement, will be running for parliament in one of the strategic constituencies in the country, in McKinney, where you have absolute dominance of the current ruling party, and it's a situation where most of the people lack basic social services like public health facilities and institution support for educational institutions and things like that. So we are hoping that our contest will be able to expose these realities to the people and also empower the people so that they will be able to hold their representatives accountable to the basic social contract that they have with them.
All right. So we're going to go now to Emmerson, the video that you showed me. I can't remember the name of the video.
Yesterday better past today. Yesterday better past today.
Yesterday better past today.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to Emmerson. Tell us a little bit about that video, and then we're going to close out. Why is that video so important?
Well, it's very important because it represents a whole new dynamic and an effort by young people to use the various skills that they have to expose the social realities and the problems that the country is confronted with as a consequence of bad governance, as a consequence of neo-colonial dictatorship, multinational corporate exploitation. So this young man has been able to use his music, to use hip-hop and music as a basis to communicate the grievances of the masses and also serve as a voice for the mobilization of the wider population. So it is really a very effective video, and to the point that now the government is finding it difficult. They have to pay somebody else to counter what this young man is saying. But interestingly, they were able to come to power in 2007 by riding on the same position that these individual took prior to that election that resulted to the current government coming to power.
Excellent. Chairman Bah, it has been an absolute pleasure for us to host the Chicago wing of your tour. Anytime you come to the States, you're welcome here in Chicago, man. It's been a pleasure. We're going to go over to Emmerson, Yesterday Better Than Today.
Sooner or later, we go drop the Emmerson! Me now 1 times 10. I ain't win on the Ben. Yeah, I'm protected just like Daniel in a lion's den. Anytime we feel say we don't see the savior, we must get people around. We go show me their color. This time we say sweet salon for water. We dey see people around, and now they no more bread the butter. Sometimes we go bed full tomorrow, but no one knows tomorrow. I don't know for you, me yesterday better past today. Who knows if na bogus, then me they make na focus. Say the first things first, now we belly. Business then they close, tax they go high, teacher salary not the same. In fact, money not the flow. Do ya una check for that tick behind the door? Cause the way the thing they go, not tell we na so. You been tell we say you able to burden, but all of a sudden you know the show start we they go. Now we retire with yesterday wahala, but Italic say na from tattoo to yawa. Pape na feel good, yes, now don't rub so, not see me body so. That's so cool water, let me not take lily money anymore. For go buy toy, call a spade, the clock get the question. Italic say them are them kind of power for beshi, then they eat to know they eat. Soon the table go turn. Anyone we kind of power for beshi. Now fire go burn. That baby say all man for left this timber first, but we still the see one man where they hide behind him finger. I dey bet, say some man not be one declare asset. Now so them be they sweat where honest show me yo. I think say then they get a first and put their beshi. That they build, who they making deal, they deal. Now we been say let thy kingdom come. Now we been say let thy will be done. But lifting don't begin time, so sooner or later we go drop the bigger bombs. Anyone we kinda power for beshi. Now fire go burn. Sometimes we go bed full tomorrow, but no one knows tomorrow. I don't know for you, me yesterday better past today. But in we I dey see now, so not just the moon we dey pray every day. Making up bad pass revel. Cause if we pass so we go starve, and we go pull the red polo. But waiting we go wear, huh? Green polo. The one them way been there yesterday look like them better pass. The one them way we put stay today. But where all the money we been there kind size alone. From 2001 to now, not I said the cat. Now by turn and they make we cry. They know the way we are here. Oh. And I saw it, they left Bob case. And some man said they not go love me, cause me much sharp like Bob Marley. But I get for say within me, people want me for say. We not say anti-corruption, done the investigation. But the 32 million where we pay for the light. Now we want know if any game play. We just want know if any foul play. But let them give we one good reason why them for the lies so pamposy. If not the cable, then don't missing. Una talk true, we not go do nothing. But we big man they pull for picking story. Now the line 9 the season. So right now if we not see, we not go listen. Cause we no say bumbo da light, don't fasten. Now listen to the voice of the street. For transparency's sake, I think we the people of this country supposed for nobody assets declaration. Angry Boku, not so for today. Now for letting no go put lop we tomorrow bambai. The voice. I mean the honorable then our offices then supposed for them. Oh salo. I think we see them done attacking now. I don't know. Maybe now the new office there. We are come up and then journalists them all. This country now a democratic country. Silver Blyden, keep the fire burning. Let it burn.
Some moments Obama they sell American passport.
You been say you dey give we transparency. Now you been say you dey give we accountability. Then self-port authority, airport and the rest of them. To foreign at the money, now foreign land they go. We kinda power for beshi. Now fire go burn. Sometimes we go get full tomorrow. bad situation, make we put
stay connected, I'll go away. Stay with me. You know, DJ on the Pirates radio station. I'll see they enjoy your eye on the band song. Yes, let me bet today. Shut up. Come on.
Not a thing for laugh but to. It just look like the way we think they go so. If you not change, 2012, 12 o'clock sharp. Wow.